Hey guys, welcome back to Just a Geek in the Garage. Today I want to talk about these WORKPRO slip joint 8-inch needle nose pliers. I saw these on Doc's channel a couple days ago, and as you can kind of see, the second you see these, you can tell which pliers they got inspiration from, which are the ones that are kind of right here in front of you, the famous LN pliers, the meme pliers from Snap-on that can pick up a coin, and it looks like they're trying to kind of fill a niche of a size that Snap-on or Icon doesn't make, and it's kind of an in-between. And so I decided to pick these up after watching Doc's review, just to see, if there's something that I would like to have in the collection, or is it kind of a waste. He's put me on to a lot of tools in the past, one of them being the other WORKPROs, these 5-inch and 4-inch, which turned out to be really cool for the price. And these ones are $13.99, which is a far cry from the $60-$70 plus that the Snap-on are, and even the I think it's like $27 or $28 that the Icons are, at least at full price. Usually you can get these closer to $20 after discounts and stuff like that, especially with the parking lot sale that's going to be coming up here in a couple of weeks. So $13.99, I decided, let's give these things a shot. So I got them in the mail. I've been playing around with them for a little while. Overall, I would just say they're just kind of okay. They're definitely not the kind of wow experience I got from when I picked these guys up, or especially these guys up, which these ones for the price I really like compared to the Knipex. Obviously it's not going to be the same quality, but for the price and what you're paying, I thought it was a pretty good deal. These ones, I'll just give it kind of an to be honest with you. Is it worth being in your tool collection? Maybe, especially if you don't have any of these guys in your collection right now, and you want to add one but don't want to spend a lot of money. These are not bad, but there's a couple things on these that I really kind of don't like. If fit and finish matters to you, these ones look like they're just basically like cast metal, which is fine. Nothing wrong with cast stuff sometimes, but the way that it's kind of put together doesn't give me a lot of confidence. But also, I don't know if you guys can see this right here, but it came directly out of the box, and I mean it was sealed, in here and packaged nicely. I even thought, oh, you know what? These things are packaged really nicely. It even comes in a box, things like that. But so that tells me that this probably is from the factory. This kind of scratching right here. And as you get with a lot of kind of cast tools, there's a lot of like pitting and stuff like that. But that's not really going to affect the performance of the tool. But just something to kind of keep in mind before you're spending your hard-earned money on anything. They are very nicely greased to kind of keep rust and stuff away from them. I always like that on a tool. It's not a bad thing. And they have some pretty nice action. They're not stiff or anything like that, which is nice. But that's common of a slip joint as well. Now, unlike the slip joints that they're kind of in the middle of, it's only a 2-position slip joint versus a 3-position. So we have the 7 and the 9-inch right here. Snap-ons, both of these have a 3-position on there, and then the only one is their 5-inch has a 2-position. This one is the overall form factor is pretty nice when you compare it to the Snap-ons. And you kind of put it up here to them, and you can see that it's a very similar profile, at least this way. But the kind of where the issue lies is the profile this way. So this one, yes, it's a little bit larger. This is the 8-inch. This is the 7-inch. But I mean, it's completely a very, very significant difference, I should say, as far as the thickness of it. And one thing that I thought was very interesting is, if you can kind of see this, is one of the jaws is a little bit thicker. It's hard to see here. Let me see if I can get this in focus. Of course, it doesn't want to go in focus. There we go. One of the jaws, the bottom jaw right there, is significantly larger than the top jaw. I'm not sure if that is a design choice or if that is maybe like an accident in the manufacturing process. I have a feeling, because it does look like it's a clean cast and all that kind of stuff, I assume that that's just a design choice that they went with, which kind of baffles me, because maybe if it had the teeth in here like the twin grips or the Pliers, things like that, I could kind of understand why they would go for a design choice like that. But considering these are going after a needle nose, I'm not sure why they did that. I mean, overall feels, you know, decent in the hand, just your regular kind of vinyl type handles, and, you know, works, it does kind of what it needs to do. Has, you know, cross hatching on here, trying to kind of copy the snap-on, and then, you know, some finer teeth and coarser teeth here as you kind of go down, which is kind of typical of all the other ones. One thing I did kind of notice though, which can be either kind of a good thing or a bad thing, is, you know, there's a lot of, and probably hard to capture on camera, but there's a lot of light coming through here except for the very tip. Now, if you were to put, you know, like a piece of paper or something through there, you basically see that I mean, it's only kind of really grabbing on excuse me, the very tip of it. Let me see if I have a piece of paper here. I thought I had one in front of me. Here, let's use this guy for something I'm gonna do a video on here in a couple days. But basically, you know, when you go to grip, and if you kind of punch it down here real quick, you can kind of see, let's see if I can capture this on camera, right there. I mean, I had the whole thing in the teeth, and you can only see that there's, like, you know, the very, very kind of tip of where it was touching right there is actually grasping onto the object. So, you know, if you're trying to, you know, grab on something and not have it kind of shake loose from here, I'm not sure if this kind of inspires confidence. However, that is kind of similar to the Icon version, where, you know, it only really kind of connects at the very, very tip, where on the Snap-on version, it has a much better kind of contact, you know, on this part of it before it kind of starts separating out. So really depends on what your use case is going to be. But honestly, for, you know, $13.99, you know, not a bad set of pliers. You know, again, like I said, I would add these to the collection if, you know, especially if you don't have, you know, either one of these sizes. Do you really need it if you already have these two sizes? I mean, probably not. Although one thing that I would say is I would like to see a size in between here. So instead of the 5 and 7 inch, if they came out with a 6 inch, I think that would be a better size, at least for my particular use case. And considering that these pliers are about $13.99, and so are, you know, these two are probably roughly the same price, sometimes even more. You know, it's not a bad deal. When I picked these up a couple of days ago, shipping only took a day or two. Now shipping is out closer to 2 weeks. I think if you were to order it today, is September 25th, and it's saying, I think delivery is like October 10th to the 12th. So a little more than like 2.5 weeks or so if you were to order it now. So my guess is that these things are going to be sold out very quickly, and I'm sure that they'll probably be sold out for a little while before we see them come back, which was the same exact pattern that we saw for these other WORKPRO. So it seems like WORKPRO is, you know, kind of doing a pretty good job in coming out with, I guess if you want to call them meme tools, that are really grabbing a lot of attention and, you know, selling a lot, especially at the very beginning. So tell me, what do you guys think? Would you guys buy a clone of the Snap-on, or I guess a clone of a clone when it comes to the Icon? Or would you skip these altogether? And does this part bother you, where, you know, one of the jaws is going to be thicker than the other there? So, you know, please leave your comments down below. If you'd like me to do any kind of like testing or anything with this, you know, let me know as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.